Buckle up for AEC Trailblazers, the Founders Files, where we crack open the stories of the brightest minds in the AEC startup scene. Forget institutional pitches. We're diving deep into the real personal journeys of these industry disruptors. Get ready for some casual chats firsthand.
Hello, and welcome everybody to another episode of the AC Trailblazers podcast, where we interview the most amazing founders of the AC. Today we have NK. He's a co-founder and CEO of Track3D. He stands at the intersection of AI, robotics, and construction technology. With close to 2 decades of experience in computer vision and extended reality, NK is redefining how the built environment is measured, analyzed, and optimized. His work transforms raw visual data from drones, smartphones, and LiDAR into actionable insights that eliminate blind spots in job site visibility. Known for his deep technical expertise and startup mindset, NK is part of a new generation of founders driving the next leap in construction automation through intelligent, data driven systems. NK, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Valentine, for having me. Really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you have so much experience that I feel don't have we're not gonna have enough time to speak about all the stuff that I want to ask you about. But um, let's start with something simple. Where the love with construction started, or how?
Well, for starting this, this is a long winded answer to your simple question. I would have to take you through my background as such. So, again, right, we started Track 3D specifically 4 years back, but we have been working in the construction sector for almost about 7, 8 years now. So, to start with our journey, right, we are three co-founders at Track 3D, me, Vineet, and Kiran. We have been friends since high school, known each other for more than 20 years now. In fact, me and Vineet have been working together for more than 15 years now. So we go a long, long way. All the three of us have been working together since our last startup. So 7, 8 years of working together. So you can literally say that we know each other better than what we know our wives. Shouldn't tell them that though. But the journey started about 2007. That was my first startup, where I started exploring about what is possible with technology. I was a super tech enthusiast always. I wanted to challenge the realms of what is possible. And what specifically caught my interest, as you gave in my intro, was the intersection of 3D vision, AI, robotics, and IoT. Now, this was a unique, different technologies, but when combined together, you call it the physical AI that you call it right now, right? So this is what I was truly fascinated by, on how do we understand our physical world, or the three-dimensional, four-dimensional world, and applied this intersection or convergence of these technologies to different sectors. Started out in medical field during neuro rehabilitation, so that was our first startup. Built furniture augmented reality, smart homes, smart industries, to our last startup, which led us to actually digitizing or creating digital replicas of entire cities. So we are creating a smart city platform where you can get automated insights on what is the road condition, what is the green space index, what are the building code violations. So help the administrators of the city get operational visibility of everything happening in their city on a daily, weekly basis. So there were drones and visual sensors actually capturing the entire city information on a regular scale. Now that is how our trust with construction started, because cities do a lot of construction and they always wanted to get the visibility of what is happening. So we started monitoring public buildings for them. We started monitoring roads and highways for them. And that is when we understand, wow, this problem statement is very unique. And our expertise in technology gives us that unique edge in putting full focus on this and solving this problem. So that's how the genesis of Track 3D actually happened. We said 2022, let's not focus on any other thing. This is so unique, and if we do this right, the global construction industry that can actually benefit from this. So that's how we got into construction, Valentine.
Interesting. Um, Even though, like, cities is a different scale, but I love how you work with furniture, you work with cities, and then you decided to do construction specifically. Um, it's just, for me, it's just interesting. How was it to go from a city scale, right, helping cities, going to helping general contractors or construction companies in general? What was the big differentiator going from one to the other?
In fact, we started at a person scale. The first neuro rehabilitation company that we are working for, or I was a CTO for. So we were actually scanning people and putting them in virtual worlds. So it was first scanning people, then scanning furniture, scanning homes, scanning industries. And we said, okay, we are not scanning enough, so let's scan entire worlds. So cities happened. And well, so you could see that the evolution of technology happened very, very rapidly. So what was possible 20 years back when I first got started with these technologies is vastly different from what is possible right now. The level of specificity that you can get, right? Cities are macro level. So you just needed a macro level visibility. So say you're doing a highway monitoring, you could just say that, okay, there's work happening in this section, this 20 miles or 10 miles, this is the work happening, and you can give that high level information. But when it comes to the construction companies and you want to help them automate their monitoring process, you need a different level of specificity. Like, what are the inlets that are installed? Or, if you're talking about a building, you have the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, finishes, all these things that require a micro level input. So I would say that, even 5 years back or even 3 years back, both the hardware and the software didn't make it possible to actually get this going. So the level of specificity required and the level of tracking required, you could not get it done. But again, right, we said, okay, right now we are at the right intersection where there's technology both in terms of hardware and software that exists with robotics and computer vision and AI. And on the other side, there's a huge demand with the lack of people in the industry, right? There's a severe labor shortage. And so we said, these two things give us that unique perspective, having worked in these technologies for so long. So intersection of all these three things said, this is the right time, we are the right people, and this is the right industry to solve this problem for. So we took away the focus from the macro level and went super micro.
Interesting. I mean, all the different scale, all the different problems. I'm also curious, like, you came from not only different scales, but also different industries, right? It's not the same dealing with furniture than, like, and I'm an architect, right, as a background, and we always tend to, I feel, speak bad about construction or speak bad about our industry, that it's old, that nothing works, that nobody likes it here. How was it for you that you came from outside the industry, getting into the AC? How was it different for you, or what was your first thought?
A great question, Valentine, again, right? Because, 2022, when we said, okay, let's focus on the construction industry, the first things you read about this industry are, hey, this is a technology laggard. No technology company can do well in this industry. People don't adopt technology. People don't like technology. But, every conversation that I was having and every discovery that we were doing at that point of time opened our eyes to something very, very different. In fact, some of the early companies that we were talking with, right, large construction companies, they had a portfolio of about 300 to 400 apps or 300 and 400 different pieces of technology that they were using. And then you could also see that, there were different solutions. There were advanced solutions like robotics, augmented reality, all the things that you think that generally construction industry would not adopt. You could see that people have tried all of them. It was not the lack of effort or not the lack of willingness as such. What our hypothesis then became was, technologies today are not adopted at a wide scale because they are not simple, fast, accurate, or cost effective enough. So you needed to have the right balance of all these things for it to scale. And that became our design principle. So we said, construction industry is not a tech laggard. It is not something that has a mindset that we don't want to adopt technology. Our mindset became, the technologies that exist today are not these. They are not simple, they are not fast, they are not accurate or cost effective enough to be used. So we said, problem is not the industry, the problem is us, the technology providers. So let's work on that solution that is actually solving for that. So that is my take on this industry, right? These are super hardworking folks, right? These are people I haven't seen any other industry, given my expertise or experience in across different fields. I've not seen an industry where you could find more hardworking people. People are super committed and they really associate with the work they do. But I think it's on us right now, the technology providers, to make something super helpful for these guys.
I mean, I think you bring an amazing point there, um, because I feel people tend to think that implementation in the AC should be the same as other industries, that you have a great product and it's easy to implement, easy to use, like, I don't know, finance or an ERP, like, I don't know, HubSpot, or that you can easily implement it. And I do feel that there are a lot of specifics in our industry that, like, I don't know, cycles, right? Our industry is moved by cycles of buildings, so you cannot implement the technology in the middle of the construction of a building. You might want to implement it before you do your building, so you have the whole life cycle, right? Or, like, I mean, there are a lot of specifics. And also, when you're working on the construction industry, it's like multiple companies working together, and they change on every project, and you don't have that in other industries. It's more of a static thing, right? So I do agree that technology at first tried to just be implemented as any other industry, and our industry is completely different. But I do have a question for you regarding scales, right? Like you said, you mentioned you spoke with large construction companies, right? Like the, I don't know, ACOMs of the world, or Skanskas, or the big ones. And even though they're the biggest ones, they're just, I don't know, 5% or 3% of the industry, right? What
Correct.
about smaller players? You think this applies to smaller players, or things change with smaller players as well?
No, I think this applies to this. The logic that, technology has to be simple, fast, accurate, and cost effective 100% applies to anyone. And to your point, right, the industry is complex. There's no doubt about it. There are too many moving pieces. There's no repeatability. There's no predictability. But if you have built a technology that can actually seem almost be invisible, that can seamlessly put into their workflows, their processes, and create that efficiency, I don't see, no matter what, right? Be a big company, the top 10 general contractors, or someone even making $10 million a year. I think everyone will hugely benefit from it. And that became, again, right, one of the design principles was how easy it should be, that, it shouldn't matter at what phase are you implementing. You had mentioned a very interesting point. For technology to be successful, you have to start at the start of the project, and you have to have an elaborate setup, have all the stakeholder buy-in. We took again a contrarian approach over there, Valentine. We said, technology almost has to be invisible. It has to be truly effective, in the sense that, most of the projects that we are on Track3D on today, and whenever we start with a new company, we always start with a project which is midway. 50% of the work is complete, because that's where we can show the most immediate benefit. So you get onboarded with us in like 15 minutes, and you don't change anything, right? You are capturing your site with imagery, you're doing this. You just take that and provide extra benefit, extra value to the customer or the partner that you're working with. I think, again, right, that's been our thought process, that in the least disruptive way. People always talk about disruption. Again, my take is, it should be almost so disruptive that it's invisible. You don't know that, hey, you have to do extra training, extra learning. No, you don't need to do all of that. You do your exact same things that you're doing today, and we fit into that processes automatically and create that delta, show you that visible benefits almost immediately. So if you can do that right, I think so anyone, irrespective of the shape, size, geography, can hugely benefit.
I mean, I was just thinking it's interesting the approach that you took, and I mean it makes sense. Uh, it's just hard to me as an architect. It's hard to digest, in the sense that I like the idea, is that I'm so used or so polluted with the way we have always been doing things wrong, I guess. uh, but it makes sense. Another thing that typically, I know companies in general complain, is about price, right? Some say, licenses are so expensive, like Autodesk, for example, right? Like, hey, they're so expensive that smaller firms cannot use them, even if you charge per person. Some others are like, I don't know, Procore, that charges you a percentage of the amount, right, of the project, and they are like, well, but my margins are already thin. What do you think? Do you think this is also a problem, or is something that is still something completely avoidable in our industry?
I think it's a cost sensitive industry, no doubts about it, right? The profit margins are quite thin. And for you to be effective, I think the value you provide, the solution provides, should be very, very clear. It should be demonstrable. It should be, very tangible in that sense. If it is right, then again, it's not a problem. Yeah, you're helping them either save $1, or you're helping them make $1. You can charge 10-20 cents for that. There'll be no questions about it. But that has to be very tangible and believable, and that is something very hard to quantify when you start with. Now I'll tell you, right, the largest projects that we have been doing is, all the data centers, airports. There are multiple airports, multiple hospitals. But I wanted to talk about the smallest projects that we have been doing. The smallest projects have been renovation of single family homes. These are like $100,000 projects actually. But customers have not only adopted us over there, but seen clear value that they have scaled with us actually. So that's our metric of success. It's not about, hey, a company like Henselfels is a logo that we can put on a website. For us, the success metric is you should not only adopt us on one project, but you should scale across your portfolio of projects. So this renovation use cases, right, that I'm talking about, it has scaled to thousands and thousands of projects actually, or single family homes being repeatedly done. So again, so that proves it that, if you have clear value you can provide, doesn't matter the scale of the project, doesn't matter the size of the project, or even the geography of the project, you can actually deploy it.
No, I mean that makes sense, and I love that you're not only speaking about data centers or airports, but you're also speaking about just single family renovation projects. I mean, it's so interesting, and I do agree with you. It's like, nothing against companies that target a specific niche, but in general, you can either work with anyone if you do things right on this industry. And going specifically to Track3D, who are your main clients? Like, I mean, who do you approach to implement this?
So again, I'll tell you a good story around this, right? This is when we got started. And we created a basic prototype and we were pitching to investors. And many investors at that point of time actually told us, this was in 2022, told us this market is saturated. So there are enough reality capture solutions that exist right now. It is standardized, and probably you should not do this, or do this back in India and probably get acquired by some of these companies. So what we did, to actually validate, because we were clearly seeing technology was not being adopted, or at maximum data might be being captured, but the amount of being data being captured to the amount of data being leveraged, there was a huge gap. And we found that to be the opportunity for Track3D. So what we said was, let's go after the top 30 general contractors in the country. These would have been companies which would have tried every other competing solution in the market, actually. And as I was telling you previously, right, our success metric became, we should not only get them as customers or logos that we put on our website saying that, hey, they are doing one project with us, but they should switch and scale with us. So we are very happy to say that today majority of our customers are in the top 50 general contractors as well as trade partners. We have expanded our use cases to trade partners as well, just to prove out that, hey, this can work and this can scale. That was our first thing that we proved out. And because we were able to prove it out last year, we actually raised a Series A as well as a follow-up investment. So once this is proved out, now we have built out a proper GTM team, a sales team, and now we plan to expand to the length and breadth of the market. That is, the mid market and, the SMB as well, in terms of general contractors. Because, again, we have proof points to demonstrate that, this is applicable to projects of any shape, any size, any complexity. So it's just that we were very conscious in the first phases of our company to target where, people have already tried it and not found enough value with it.
I love how every time there is a successful startup, there is always an experience with an investor saying like, "This is not going to work," right? It's something that I feel it's typical, and you just need to focus and do your thing if you think it's going to work. This is so interesting, but let's say, like you said, I'm a general contractor or I'm a subcontractor, whoever you prefer, and you approach to me. What are the metrics that you tell me that I will be able to measure, I don't know, in a year, to be sure that I'm going to get enough ROI to actually be convinced to buy Track3D?
Simple. So it's very easy, right? And let me explain you with an analogy. Like, say I'm on a weight loss journey. Okay, I have my goal weight, target weight. I know where I'm starting with. And the one most important thing you have to do is, measure your weight daily. So you get a weighing scale and start measuring it. The first thing you wake up, start measuring it daily. And why you do that? Because you can't improve something you can't measure. So Track3D specifically does that for the construction sites. So what you're doing with Track3D is, today if you go on any job site where progress is being reported manually, you ask three people on the job site, what is the progress? Let's say a specific element, mechanical duct. You'll get three different answers. One will be 50%, 60%, 70%, and there'll be then arguments over why this is 50, why this is 60, why this is 70. So Track3D exactly solves that problem. It takes away the subjectivity completely. It gives you objective, measured proof on what is done on site, where it is done, when it is done, and is it done right by comparing it with the design. So all you're doing is taking imagery from the job site, and it could be anything. It could be drones, robots, a person walking with a camera, and now you have the meta glasses as well. Wear the glasses and just walk around, take videos, right? We create a 3D replica of it, and that's the 3D in Track3D. It's not BIM or it's not other thing required. It's about taking imagery, converting it into 3D, and our AI engine going ahead and measuring everything. So it's not 50% of duct installed anymore. It is 500 linear feet of duct installed at these locations out of 1,000 linear feet, and that is why it is 50%. So, every single trade partner or construction company today, they are doing it manually, right? They are going in and measuring everything. And for a fact that, manually measured data is either inaccurate, incomplete, inconsistent, or inaccessible. So stakeholders of the data never get the right data at the right time to make the right decisions. So it is so obvious, and once we show the solution saying that this is how simple it is, on your floor plan you get to see the percentage, the quantity, and the locations of where things are installed, where things have not been installed. That's it. I think it becomes a very, very easy way to convince. I mean, one metric we are very, very proud of is, every time we demonstrate our solution to someone, we have a 80% plus higher conversion rate from demo to immediately taking a pilot, and pilot to then expansion. So it's that simple, actually, Valentine.
I mean, those are great numbers. And I mean, I used to work with the owner on the construction side, so I know how hard it is to at the end of the month you need to start paying your subs and you have to start paying people, and then it's a discussion every month because it's what percentage I am. But what happens if, I don't know, let's say I'm a trade contractor and instead of running my ducts, I don't know, in the side of the corridor, I do it in the middle of the corridor. So I make a mistake. So
Correct.
I'm technically complete, but it's all wrong. What happens in those cases?
Great question again, Valentine, right? And that's the deviation track module of Track3D, specifically compares with the design, and you're catching mistakes early. And this specifically happened on a job site. Let me give you an example. So, what was happening was Track3D segments the imagery. In technical terms, it actually identifies it, segments it, and then projects it into the floor plan. So, it doesn't matter whether the floor plan has that asset over there or not. Now, in this particular airport project, it was showing on the floor plan a duct, but it was not supposed to be there. The duct was not supposed to be installed over there. The first assumption that the general superintendent on the site made was, hey, maybe the AI got it wrong. So let me verify it. Let me look at the imagery. But when you saw the image, you could see the duct clearly being there. So this became a problem of a wrong installation, like you were saying. Now, what happens because of this is, you could catch this mistake on the same day or the next day itself. And the sooner you would know this, Valentine, right? The sooner you catch a mistake, the cost of rectifying that mistake comes that much lower. And now that you also know that there's a mistake that has happened and a rework that has happened, this goes into documentation and you have the visuals of it so that you don't avoid it in the other levels. So it both serves as a learning as well as a deterrent. So your rework costs alone amount to generally 5 to 10% of the project costs. And you can directly actually catch them, avoid them, and even rectify the cost of correcting them, lower it drastically. So again, that is one more question, answer to your previous point that you helped me bring out, right? And this similarly happened with, I'll tell you another case. It's not only things getting installed wrong, things getting missed. So there were like about 200 sprinkler heads on a floor, and the sub comes and says, hey, general contractor, I finished installation of the sprinkler heads, right? But they come and verify it in Track3D, and they say, hey, the system is showing me only 98% done. It's telling me four are missing. And then you can very quickly go and see that, where those four are missing as well. So again, right, imagine if you have covered the ceiling basically and then trying to figure out where those are, it would have been an impossible task. So just imagine the amount of time and money saved just by giving this insights by doing nothing new. It's the same imagery that you're already capturing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an extra effort. It's just amazing. I mean, a sprinkler head, it's something really small. It's not you're missing that. I mean, it's still a big problem, right? But what I'm saying is it's hard to detect even with the human eye. So that leads me to the question is how precise it is. I mean, I bet it's surprisingly precise because it can look and say, there's missing four sprinkler heads, but how precise it is.
Well, great question again, right? Because that is the most important aspect. Because, think about it this way: for a human to go in with the naked eye, to measure everything, to track everything, or count everything is grossly inefficient, and you will definitely be inaccurate. You can't measure with even with a measuring tape, go ahead and measure everything. Now, with the advancements of AI and the current technologies, both hardware and software, you get to half an inch level precision just by the sensors that you're collecting data and doing the sensory fusion. On top of it, the detection accuracy is really, really high actually. So when I say really, really high, it's in the 95% plus range, where you still have a human in the loop verifying it and cross-checking it because you have the imagery there to cross-check it as well. So systems become reliable, and I'll again quote an example. One of the first challenging problems that were given to us was a 70-foot ceiling, and there were thousands of curtain rod drops there actually, ceiling rod drops to measure, and they were counting it manually before that. And they said, the customer, this was a trade partner, specifically asked us, go ahead and count this. And we could do it with an accuracy. Now, the confusion was whether we were more accurate or the numbers they had manually reported were more accurate. So that proves that, irrespective of the shape, size, or how big or small that object is, AI can definitely do a much better job than the humans already. Computer vision and AI combined, you have to obviously have the smart algorithms around it. But then everything is verifiable again. You have the data, you have the insights, you can cross verify it, cross check it, have the correct loops, controls, and so it will be phenomenally better than what anyone is doing right now.
I mean, I think that reminds me of the answer. I went to a conference and there was like Waymo CEO, right? And they were complaining about him sometimes cars crashing a little bit or something. He was like, "Yeah, cars might crash using AI, but that's going to be it's nothing compared to the amount of crashes if people drive cars." So yeah, it's just incredible. Sometimes people tolerate mistakes on people, big mistakes on people, but they don't
Correct.
tolerate really, really small mistakes on technology. It's just interesting.
And you brought up a very good point, right? So the way to evaluate a solution should ideally be, how better is it compared to my current process? Is it 5x better, 10x better? That is an objective comparison. 100% accuracy, no AI is at least currently capable of, right? And that will be an invalid expectation as well. But you have to verify how many times is it better than what I'm doing currently manually.
No, absolutely. And even if you let's say you have the best comparison machine learning model that it's perfect, then you're relying on pictures that might not be perfect. So
Correct.
it's not always. I mean, and that might be a people's mistake because they didn't took pictures on that specific room. So even then, like nothing is going to be perfect, even if you have all the best technology out there. But let's we know AI is advancing a lot, and we know we can do amazing things. Is there something that you want to do in the future with Track3D that you think maybe the technology is not here yet for us to implement it, or you think nothing comes to your mind where that cannot be implemented nowadays?
So today, uh, the next phase of technology, again, it is getting there very, very rapidly. But what is not available today is, doing the data capture autonomously. Like, why should a person even walk? There could be a small drone or a robot actually autonomously navigating through the site. So that problem that you mentioned of, hey, has the human captured that image, or is the light condition good enough? All of that is automatically solved. So that technology is not completely there yet, but it's coming really, really rapidly. And it's super positive the way it is actually coming up, right? Because that point of time, you don't even need to worry about collecting the data. How frequently do I collect the data? Have I covered everything or not? Is the light condition enough or not? All of that is automated. So that is something we are truly excited about at Track 3D and already working towards that.
Oh, I mean, that would be amazing. It's like I don't know if you have seen the movie Prometheus, where they have like a small drone ball that scans everything. I mean, nowadays you can pretty much do a lot with drones. It's just that again, if someone closes the door or something, you cannot do it. It's like we always
Correct.
get to people, right? So but I do agree that you're gonna have a robot that is gonna open the door, or like we're gonna get there soon. Absolutely. But and in terms of the future for Track3D, besides the automation of pictures, that would be amazing. Is there are there any plans on the, I don't know, short term or middle term for Track3D?
Absolutely, Valentine. And one thing we are really, really excited about is today we are a construction monitoring. We are a AI powered construction monitoring solution. But what we can become very, very quickly is, and the possibility is, the operating system of the job site. From doing your planning, coordination, communication to verification that is happening right now with Track 3D. So you can close the entire loop, and that being the operating asset of any physical asset, being AI powered and being taking the reality conditions inside, is something which we are very, very excited about the possibilities, because it now will no longer aid you during the construction phase, but across the life cycle of the asset, from construction to operations and maintenance to even demolition and then restarting again. So you become the operating system for the physical asset across the entire life cycle. And for this, with AI agents, we are actually integrating with a lot of existing systems, assimilating that data and creating insights that were again not possible before, because this could be structured, unstructured information. You can collect them all and unlock insights in a never before seen scale. So that
Interesting.
is
Yeah, I
something
mean,
already started on that journey. Sorry, go ahead.
no, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, no, I mean, once you have the data, once you're already implemented, once you have, I mean, being the management of all of it, that's, I feel it's easier compared to what you're already doing. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. No, I love it. I mean, I love it. I think it's great. Um, any other uh, exciting features coming in the short term?
So a lot of our roadmap this year is focused around, see, the basic thing that we already got was the intelligence on the raw data. Now, how do we convert this intelligence and generate more insights by tying up with other legacy systems, right? Like a manpower agent, for example. The manpower on site, the production done, tie them out together to get productivity, get the estimated cost of completion, get material productions. So we are building a host of different agents, starting from safety, QA, QC, manpower, material, all of these use cases. And we believe that this will unlock great use cases uh, of the job site, give them back time, give people back time, and make them like super efficient. So there are super exciting things coming out in 2026, and we couldn't have been more excited about what we are building.
No, I mean, it's what you're building is great and it's exciting. So I can see the real value of it. Um, and I know I've taken a lot of your time, and even for people out there listening to us, it was really hard to get NK for this call. He's a really busy guy. But before we wrap this up, can I ask you a couple of ping pong questions?
Absolutely, Valentine. Please go ahead.
The first one is, what do you think is going to be the next disruption on the AC?
There's so many that is constantly happening, right? From the pre-con stage to the robotics to 3D printing to this thing. So I don't think so there'll be one single disruption, but the advent of AI and robotics, right? And what is possible with physical AI will create multiple sub disruptions actually. And again, right, we are working on one problem statement. There's so many exciting teams working on so many. So I would, it would be unfair for me to single out one single use case.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And if you can say, besides Track3D, so you don't cheat, a great AC software, you can say whatever. You can
Mm.
even say AutoCAD. If you don't want to say a competitor, or you can even say something really old like AutoCAD.
No, I mean, I'm very plugged in with the tech ecosystem over here, and obviously I would like to name startups rather than incumbents, actually, being a startup
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah, you can say startup. Yeah, yeah, you can name a startup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me say two that I'm excited about. One on the autonomous robotics side, basically companies like Field AI, and the other side, companies what are doing with AI and agents, like Thiago with Data Grid. I really love what they're doing, and what they can unlock for the industry. So you know these would be two names I could think of at the top of my head.
Both of them are great companies, absolutely. Um, and regarding if you could choose any person in the world to collaborate with in any project, which person would you choose? It can be death or alive.
Wow. Okay, that's a very interesting question. Mm, I I think, okay, currently I would name Elon Musk. Um Not because of his political views or anything, but the way he gets technology, right? So that is something cool. The way he operates, and the art of the possible, where he takes it. That level of execution is something I would like to collaborate with, and probably put Optimus robots on every job site. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that guy is just insane. Like, besides the political, because like, I love the guy as an entrepreneur, and he's like, don't waste your time in politics, man. Just build another company. I mean, you're so good at it. Don't waste your time there. Um, but I do agree. And last but not least, what's your favorite building in the world?
My favorite building in the world. Okay, if I was picking on the artistic side, I would still say Taj Mahal would be the favorite one in India. Again, love the architecture, love how it is actually built at that point of time. Modern buildings, there are so many of them, right? Again, I will not signal them. So let's say keep it at Taj Mahal.
Okay, let's. I mean, Taj Mahal is already a great answer, so we can keep that one. Um, and yeah, before we say goodbye to each other, can you tell everybody where they can know more about you and Track3D?
Yep. So we frequently update our LinkedIn. So LinkedIn would be a great place to check us out, and you can personally reach out to me at nk@track3d.ai. I am always happy to connect, form new relationships. As you said, Valentine, at the start, right? I come from outside the industry, but I'm genuinely curious. Like to forge new relationships and learn as much as possible. So happy to connect. And take conversations forward.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time and sharing and trying to improve our industry. So I really appreciate that, and I hope to learn more about Track3D in the future. All right.
Absolutely, Valentine. Thank you for having me. It was great pleasure talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks to our listeners. If you like this content, you can find past and upcoming episodes in ascworks.everse.com and at all of our Everse social media. We'd love to hear from you and recommendations for new content, so leave us a DM and we'll make sure to catch it.